Hello everybody and welcome to the top 8 here at Grand Prix Rimini 2013. My name is Matej Bigzalka, I'm here with Simon Gertzen, and the top 8 is just about to begin. We have 8 of very good drafters here who had just one draft behind them, and now they're going to play it out for the title of Grand Prix Rimini champion. And just to give you a rundown of the top 8, for those of you who might not have catched it before, we have Ben Stark coming in first place so far, then Tamás Nagy of Hungary in second place, Rasmus Björklund of Sweden third, Stepan Sucic of Croatia fourth, Emanuele Giusti from Italy in fifth, Christoph Augenthaler in sixth, Federico Del Basso in seventh, and coming in eighth at 38 points was Pierre Sommen of France. So a very well rounded out throughout all of Europe, the top 8, but we have the biggest favorite in first place coming in, Ben Stark. What do you reckon?
He's my pick to win the tournament. We saw him draft, and it was a bumpy ride, but he's basically the favorite to make day 2. He's the favorite to top 8, and once he's there, he's the favorite to win. He's also first after Swiss, and I think he can make great use out of that.
Yeah, he will get to play first in every round that he will get to play in. So he will get played first in the quarters. If he makes the semis, also play first there in the finals too. So definitely a big advantage for his somewhat tempo-oriented deck.
And he somehow made a deck out of the cards he was given, despite having real trouble finding his colors. I think he read the table beautifully. And I think he is underselling the power of his deck a little bit. It's quite spicy.
Yeah, it's a blue-red tempo deck, and he's definitely my favorite as well. And we're definitely going to be starting with his feature match first. He is facing off at the bottom side of the bracket against Rasmus Björklund of Sweden, and who also seemed okay with his deck, but the power level of the decks is so-so. The winner of this match will actually face off against the winner between Federico Del Basso and Stepan Sucic, and on the other side of the bracket we have Emanuele Giusti against Pierre Sommen and Tamás Nagy against Christoph Augenthaler. My second favorite pick of this top 8 so far is Emanuele Giusti. He's been here already. I mean, in 2008 he won Grand Prix Rimini. So basically, he just could be going back to back in GP Riminis, which would be great. I mean, and he's certainly a great player. Also winning GP Brussels in 2010. So and also has a very good deck.
Yeah, we have to maybe explain to the audience what he did throughout the last 2 days. He just told us that he played black-red in the sealed portion, which is probably not the most popular option. Yeah. And he has drafted black-red not once, not twice, but 3 times today.
Yeah, so both in the Swiss rounds, both drafts he was black-red, put it to good use, which we've seen in the feature match area. Now in the top 8 with the black-red deck, and with the black-red deck that looks really good as well.
And he's basically not only drafted a black-red deck with a lot of removal or a control deck, no, he's drafting the engine-based sacrifice black-red deck. So we've seen everything. We've seen Tenacious Deads, we've seen Blood Barons, of course, Active Treasons, Bubbling Cauldrons, and this time he might have done it. Bog Brew Ridge, Bubbling Cauldron, Festering Nude.
He has all of them.
Everything else coming together. This is a spicy deck, and I think he's going to have a lot of fun during this top 8.
Yeah, definitely my favorite for this side of the bracket, Emanuele Giusti. Just a very solid player overall, and with a very good deck as well. He stands a very good chance of making it very far in this top 8. So, now it's time for the quarterfinals of Grand Prix Rimini 2013. Let's get to it. Hello and welcome back to Grand Prix Rimini 2013. Here, just at the beginning of the top 8, we have our players ready. They're shuffling up, and we're going to see Ben Stark of the United States, the Platinum Pro, the Pro Tour Pairs champion, the Hall of Fame candidate this year. Not one of the super favorites like LSV, but still very much in contention, getting a lot of votes from all the people, mainly because he is a limited specialist. And on the back of this, their reputation,
proving it back and back again. He did show up for draft number 2 today, so there was nothing stopping him from making a top 8.
And making it to the top 8 here in very impressive fashion, just making even mediocre decks work, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Be doing right here. We covered his draft. He got into blue-red, switched around with the colors. Wasn't sure if he was maybe white, maybe blue, maybe red.
Yeah, think about being in this position. You first pick Scourge of Valkas, but you have to pass Chandra's Outrage. You pick a Pacifism, but there is no white cards. There aren't enough red cards. In the end, you have a Deathgaze Cockatrice, a Plummet, and then a late pickup of Frostbreath and Archaeomancer. A lot of people would just dismiss that as unplayables because you are looking to be white-red with heavy mana requirements. Even picking up Celestial Flare and a Charging Griffin. And then Ben Stark just does it and ends up in a blue-red tempo deck that utilizes some underrated cards to full effect. And the fact that he just dominated the Swiss portion means he's going to be on the play, and that makes cards like Scroll Thief and in combination with Lightning Talons, of course, so much more efficient.
Absolutely. I mean, I think he has a very good shot of making it in. Being on the play is so crucial. But I mean, his opponent is no slouch. Rasmus Björklund actually getting here on the back of a very good record on day one. He actually managed to go 9-0 in Seal deck. His first draft didn't go so well. He kind of drifted off the first table, but then rallied back 3-0 the second table to make it in and solidify himself as a guy who knows what's up in this limited format. And remember, at European GPs, we're so used to the Nordic countries doing so well. So your Norwegians, your Swedes, your Danes, he's the only one left. And there were so many in the running, even Dennis Rashid being just so close to the top 8. But yeah, let's focus on the match here. Quarterfinals in Grand Prix Rimini, but there's a mulligan for both players. So both Ben Stark and Rasmus Björklund are mulliganing down to 6, and we'll see how much that hinders each and every one of them. So just for those of you just tuning in, just so you know, in the top 8, this is Ben Stark against Rasmus Björklund, who are on the bottom side of the bracket. The winner will face the winner of the match between Federico Del Basso and Stepan Sucic. On the other side of the bracket, we have hometown hero Emanuele Giusti. He's facing off against Pierre Sommen, and Tamás Nagy playing against Christoph Aukenthaler. And before the players finish up their shuffling of the mulligan, we talked about Emanuele Giusti being already a double GP champion, including GP Rimini 2013. But the interesting thing is that his other GP top 8 is in Brussels 2010. That's the same GP that Tamás Nagy of Hungary top 8'd, and I talked to him briefly before the top 8. That's the last GP he has played before today.
Oh, that's incredible.
So 3 years of no GPs, and he comes back, and basically he has back-to-back GP top 8s, which is a very good achievement for the Hungarian player who was more active before 2010, but took a break, came back, and just immediately smashes his home way to second place after the Swiss. So, but here we go, Ben Stark, Platinum Pro from the United States, with starting off with an island, and Rasmus Björklund with a Forest into Elvish Mystic.
We do see Elvish Mystic and Goblin Diplomats on opposing sides of the table, and Goblin Diplomats does have the ability to force each creature to attack this turn if able, and this can lead to some really awkward situations for Rasmus Björklund, who of course doesn't fear attacking with Elvish Mystic here, but in the future might be forced to run some creatures into their death, basically.
We know Ben Stark has triple Scroll Thief, so if he manages to land one and then force the Elvish Mystic to attack, well, it won't attack because it can tap itself for mana. And Deadly Rook is actually a very good card against Ben's deck, from what we've seen. Just a Sliver Construct, so might actually decide to trade it off with the Deadly Recluse.
Wouldn't be the worst.
And even the Goblin Diplomat just force also Rasmus to play his creatures pre-combat if he wants to get use of the Elvish Mystic mana, so that's something to consider. So, Rasmus Björklund of Sweden here, with 4 mana available.
He's holding a Vastwood Hydra, but of course he would like to have a little more mana before deploying that. You don't want to play it as a 2/2. Even as a 3/3, it's rather small.
He does have some good powerful creatures. One of them being a Gigantic Sliver. Yeah, that's 6 mana slot.
Almost can't have too many deadly recluses. Very, very good green common. A little more on the defensive side. Ben Stark forcing the attack here, but taking the damage.
Yeah,
interesting.
That's also one way to go about it. Maybe if he can deal with the deadly recluse now, he can actually swing it for 4. But on 4 mana, just pass the turn. Maybe has Essence Scatter up.
Yeah, still don't understand why he forced his opponent to attack there. But now with 4 mana, he's a blue deck, so Nephalia Sea Kite is always something to keep in mind there. The 2 Death Touch creatures, not the best to ambush, really.
Yeah, here comes Battle Sliver.
Battle Sliver is a 5 mana 3/3, but it gives each sliver the controller controls plus 2/0. So
no plays from Ben Stark. That Battle Sliver resolves. The 2 Deadly Recluses crash in for 2 damage. So 1 each, and Ben with no play, 1 for mana. Actually, that's what he was saying. Basically, that some of the draws of his deck can actually be really bad because there's a lot of variance involved. There's a lot of cards which are good if you're ahead on the board. Some cards rely on the synergy of others. So something like Archaeomancer in this spot is probably something he has in his hand and no way to use it.
He's hitting all of his land drops so far, putting Lightning Talons on Sliver Construct. Of course, that is kind of dangerous should his opponent have anything. We don't know if Ben Stark is holding Negate. I don't even know if he's playing it, but pretty sure that he has cards like Disperse to at least play around some of the tricks.
Yep.
And that Lightning Talons and Goblin Diplomats look to be quite potent.
Yeah, it's like the Abyss, an old school card, which basically said every upkeep you kill a creature of the opponent. And this is similar in that sense that basically Ben Stark can force Rasmus Birken to attack with all of his creatures, and then Ben just blocks 1 every turn and picks it off with the 5/2 First Striker. Because,
and Rasmus Birken is actually holding 2 very efficient creatures, Colonian Tusker and Vastwood Hydra, but no spells to deal with this almost cheeky combo. It's kind of like, look what I assembled. None of these cards are particularly good, but Goblin Diplomat's really shining here.
Yeah, so here comes the Vastwood Hydra. So X and 2 green for a 0/0 creature, but when it enters the battlefield, it enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. So in this sense, it adds 5. It's a 4/4 for now. Now Goblin Diplomat forces the attack, and Ben Stark now could pick off the Battle Sliver while only taking 2 damage from Deadly Recluses. Remember, when the Vastwood Hydra dies, it can put the same amount of counters that were on it on a different creature. So
distributed anyway.
Yeah. But here comes Marauding Molehorn, and if Ben forces the attack here, you can get some very profitable trades.
He doesn't really want to kill the Vastwood Hydra with First Strike, because then the +1/+1 counters are actually going to be pumping up the creature before they deal damage. On the other hand, that still might be the best block because he doesn't want to take too much damage from the Hydra.
Here is Mindsparker from Rasmus Björklund, so a rare 3 mana 3/2 First Strike, and it also says that whenever the opponent plays a blue or white sorcerer or instant, that player is dealt 2 damage. So with Ben's blue instant, which he has quite a few of, he will have to be taking some damage with it. But it resolves, and now forcing the attack.
Yeah, I think that Rasmus Björklund probably wants to put some counters on the Mindsparker because it has First Strike, so it survives. It survives the Sliver anyway, but maybe to protect it from any kind of red burn spell as well. Mindsparker is kind of his only real threat at this stage.
Yep, we have an update from this side of the bracket. Stepan Sucic is already down a game to Federico Del Basso. And Emmanuel Agisti also leading in his match over Pierre Sommen, so the black-red deck being put to good use. I hope we'll see a lot of with Emmanuel Agisti's games. But here, Ben Stark of the United States just blocking the Vastwood Hydra with his Sliver Construct.
It's quite interesting that
the counters are going distributed on. They're going on Deadly Recluse, so growing it up to a 5/6.
5/6.
Surviving the Sliver Construct.
It's quite interesting that Ben Stark isn't blocking with his Marauding Molehorn, here, which kind of telegraphs that he has a trick to let the Mohon survive the Mindsparker.
Yeah, so here comes the disperse on the Deadly Recluse. So that Deadly Recluse won't deal damage because the Hydra died in first strike step, put the counters on Deadly Recluse, and that was then bounced. It did cost Ben Stark the 1 life from the Deadly Recluse as well as 2 from the Mindsparker, so he is down to 13. But still with quite enough, no cards from Ben. So basically putting all his hopes on top decks here, and we know that blue instants and sorceries are not what he wants at this point.
Yeah, so he did in fact leave his Mohon vulnerable here. I think I would have liked to see it block in that case. Ben could have used his first striker to deal with the Deadly Recluse and traded the Mohon for the Hydra for a very similar effect. And I think he would have gotten more value out of the exchange.
Yeah, so because the Marauding Maulhorn is forced to attack every turn and will now probably have to basically go into the battle zone. Yeah, gets blocked by the Mindsparker, which is a 3-2 first striker. But now another Marauding Maulhorn, then just keeps laying him there, which I think Rasmus Björklund won't mind, because he does still have the 3-2 Mindsparker first strike on defense. But now there will be a forced attack with the Goblin Diplomat, so Ben Stark will actually be able to start attacking with the Maulhorn on his turn.
No, or block with it.
Or block with it now, yeah. The Deadly Recluse is just doing a good job of always trading, especially when Ben Stark is top decking here. He definitely wants to rip an opportunity right now, even at the cost of 2 damage from the Mindsparker.
Oh yeah, that's a price he would be willing to pay. And there comes the attack. The Mindsparker is really a problem because there just isn't any good way for Ben to block.
Yeah.
But so far, things aren't looking too bad.
There's also a Ranger's Guile in Rasmus Björklund's hand, so he can prevent some bounce shenanigans. And Ben draws his cards, already down to 7. Maulhorn has to attack.
Yeah, he probably doesn't want to trade here because he's on 20 and he can use his life total as a resource and just keep on the relentless attacks. He's forced to lose creatures to the Silver Construct with Lightning Talons anyway, so I think he might as well make it count. He thinks differently though.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Killoan Tusker trades there. Scroll Thief is followed up from Ben Stark. He actually might be forced to trade the Mindsparker with the Sliver Construct with Lightning Talons on. We also have an update that Christoph Aukenthaler is up a game on Tamash Knight on the upper side of the bracket. So
every match but this one has finished at least 1 game. So Mindsparker still survives.
Yeah, all the creatures forced to attack. Elvish Mystic got tapped for mana, so that one didn't attack. Mindsparker still dealt 3 to Ben, who's down to 4. But now, with no follow-up from Rasmus Björklund, Ben Stark can actually start drawing cards off of the Scroll Thief. Well, even could finally offer up the trade with the Sliver Construct and Mindsparker after extracting so much value previously.
He is very low on life now, so has to be really careful about the Mindsparker's ability and also potential burn spells. But that's another reason why you might want to trade off the Mindsparker here.
Yeah, because we know in his deck he has double frost. I think he has double frostbite. He also has disperse.
One frostbite, double
disperse. Also double essence scatter. So doesn't want to be on the receiving end of more damage. But we know there's a Ranger's Guile in Rasmus Björklund's hand, which won't help to save his Mindsparker if it goes to trade with the Sliver Construct with Lightning Talons. In this matchup, it seems like that Lightning Talent is doing some work because there's not as much removal from Rasmus Björklund as you would think. And
he does have Deadly Recluse, so maybe he picked less removal spells or just tried to compensate for a lack of removal spells. Of course, against the combo that Ben Stark assembled, that didn't really work out.
Yeah, that Elvish Mystic again tapped for mana in response to the Goblin Diplomat activation, which forces all creatures to attack.
I think that attacking with the Mystics would have probably accomplished more at this point.
Yeah, it would have been 1 extra damage.
Rasmus just gave up a point of damage here.
Yep.
He was even holding the Ranger's Guile to kill Ben Stark if he didn't block the Mindsparker. So
also could have Yeah, it was an extra point of damage. Here comes the Scroll Thief again, dropping Rasmus Björklund down to a lower life total. I don't think that his life total has been updated yet. But drawing that extra card with Scroll Thief could help pull. Ooh.
Yeah, that's going to be lethal with the help of
Ranger's
Guile. Don't understand why the
Goblin
Goblin Diplomats attacked there.
Wow, so yeah, Rasmus Björklund pulls it away and wins the game 1 over Ben Stark, who was playing maybe a little bit too aggressively in that sense, but he was probably figured that I have to win the game somehow, and the longer I wait, the more chances are that Rasmus Björklund will be able to come back into the game. So, now Ben has to think about what he wants to do with his sideboard, maybe add something, or maybe even change the strategy. He knows now about the Ranger's Guile, and he probably knows that the opponent doesn't have a lot of removal, so maybe he can play his Lightning Talents more aggressively.
Yeah, maybe even try for an Elite Arcanist. Who knows?
So we now get to see Emanuele Giusti on his black-red sacrifice deck, utilizing the synergy between the sacrifice effects found in black and the cards like Active Treason in red, as well as some, especially the interactions with Tenacious Dead, which just comes back for 2 mana whenever you sacrifice it. But his opponent, Pierre Summoner Franz, already has a Witch Stalker, as well as double Advocate of the Beast.
Yeah, it's important to note that Witch Stalker is a wolf, so it doesn't get counters from Advocate of the Beast. And looks like Emanuele Giusti is still fine with being here quite aggressive here, probably also because of Tenacious Dead.
Yeah, he can definitely stave off some of the attacks, but now that the board has gummed up with 2/3s and a Witch Stalker, he might leave Pitchburn Devils behind. And I like Pitchburn Devils in the black-red sacrifice deck just because you can get the 3 damage in when you need. You might get to kill it even out of combat. Might use it to finish off the opponent. There's a lot of things that you can be doing there. So with life total 17 to 14 here, what has Emanuele Giusti to follow up? Margaret the Vampire, that's a good follow-up.
So much for being on the defensive.
Yeah, being very much on the offensive. 5/5 does very well against 2/3s. Them not being able to kill it and it being quite good in this regard. So now Pierre Sommon drops 5 lower, but going down to 9, and now Giusti gains 5. And even if this Pittsburgh Devils is handled by Pierre by something maybe like Claustrophobia or Time Map or Disperse, it still has gained a lot of life and will come back soon enough for some kind of effect.
Emanuele Giusti also has enough mana to bring Tenacious Dead back from the dead, so blocking one of the creatures of Pierre Summon for free should Pierre go on the offensive here. Pierre might also want to block the 5/5 life linking Pitchburn Devils with a lot of creatures, but of course that's really high risk.
Yeah. So let's see what Pierre Summon can muster up. He has a lot of cards in his hand. I think it's 5 now.
Only a single blue.
There's the time map I mentioned, so that's one of the best things that could happen here. Denying a draw step of Emanuele Giusti. Pearson doesn't attack though, with none of his creatures, leaving them back.
And that's part of the power of Margaret the Vampire. Once the life totals have reached 22-9, then it's just so much more difficult for a deck to raise. Being threatened. In this case, there were only 2 1/1s, so there wasn't much of a danger. But maybe Pierre didn't want one of his creatures to die from being double blocked.
Yeah, Pierre Someone does have a Jace's Mindseeker in his hand, so just lacking 1 mana to cast the 6 mana 4/4 flyer.
He only has a single blue, so he doesn't need a second island. There might even be other blue cards stranded in his hand. I believe I saw Claustrophobia somewhere there, but.
Yeah, needs the second blue to cast some of the spells though. So what does he do about this Pitchburn Devils? Because at 9 life, Pitchburn Devils always threatens 3, so meaning that you're virtual at 3 less life.
He just blocks with his hexproof creature and then loses an Advocate of the Beast as well.
Yeah. Emanuele Giusti now with just 2 1/1s left on the battlefield. A lot of lands already. Will he have something to follow up here? Grim Return.
Grim Return just brings back a creature that died this turn from the battlefield. So, just a free Pitchburn Devils.
Yeah, uses it to good effect. Gets, basically made it 2 for 1 with the Pitchburn Devils. with no answer from Pierre Sommen, who just drew a divination, so no second island. So we'll start off with that, and yeah, I mean he could also have gone for the Witch Stalker of his opponent that died that turn, but getting Pitchburn Devils is even better, just because it again threatens 3 more damage, and on this board he can again get to kill 2 creatures if it gets blocked.
Pierre Sommen does have the second blue, so Jace's Mindseeker is potentially active. Pierre's also holding Enlarge, which we've called one of the best uncommons of the weekend, but it somehow isn't really good against the Black-Red Sacrifice deck, because all the creatures are just not that great. So blocking with one of them, for example, the Tenacious Dead, is really not something that Emmanuel is too worried about. Also, he's always in a racing position with the Active Treasons, the Bubbling Cauldrons.
Yeah.
All these effects really make Enlarge not irrelevant, but a lot weaker than it would otherwise be.
Yeah, so an attack with Pitchburn Devils and the Tenacious Dead. The Brindleborg blocked the Pitchburn Devils and gained Pierre 4 life, so he's up to 13. Tenacious Dead just being returned there. And Emmanuel Justice still has a Dragon Egg, so he's definitely looking for a sacrifice outlet now.
He basically has 4 creatures that are all good when you sacrifice them, and we've already seen Tenacious Dead and Bubbling Cauldron combo together to just gain 4 life a turn, next to being an eternal chump blocker. But of course, there is also the Festering Newt.
Yeah, together with the Bubbling Cauldron, Festering Newt is actually Pierre Sommen would lose 4 life, Emmanuel would gain 4, so that's a big swing already. He could also sacrifice his Dragon Egg if he had the Bubbling Cauldron to get a 2/2 fire, 3 damage with Pitchburn Devils. Oh, here's a Wall of Frost from Pierre, so he's saving his Jace's Mindseeker for later, and gums up the ground pretty well now, so fully stopping the Pitchburn Devils without exposing himself to something like Active Treason, for example.
Yeah, which is part of the reason why he doesn't just run out Jace's Mindseeker here. It wouldn't even be a good blocker for Pitchburn Devils, and he needs to stop the bleeding first before going for anything else.
Yeah, so Wall of Frost holds off the ground. Emmanuel just to a 3 mana, has a Blood Baron, so
now the sacrificing can begin. Dragon Egg turning into a 2/2 flyer with fire breathing. Pitchburn Devils being able to shoot 3 damage at any point. Tenacious Dead not giving a bonus, but basically an almost unlimited amount of +2/+2 for Blood Baron. And Festering Newt, okay, if you need to give a creature -1/-1, that's also an option.
Yeah, I mean, with Blood Baron and Tenacious Dead, with 3 swamps in play, means that it's +6/+6. Here's the Jace's Mindseeker, so 6 mana, 4/4 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, you put the top 5 cards of the opponent's library into their graveyard, and he can then cast a sorcery instant or among them. So there's Shift's Embrace, Volcanic Geyser, Flames of the Firebrand being the final card there. Volcanic Geyser could only have been played for 0. You can't play the X cost when you play it without paying its mana cost. So the Flames of the Firebrand off of Emmanuel Justice's library being played here, but actually there's not that much you can do about it.
Emmanuel Justice deck is just almost immune to whatever the opposing decks are trying to do. We just talked about Enlarge being largely irrelevant, and now we see Flames of the Firebrand. It killed a Festering Newt.
It will kill a Festering Newt. I think that's it.
It could kill a Pitchburn Devils, but which then in return still gets to kill Advocate of the Beast, or even get the Jace's Mindseeker off the battlefield with the help of Festering Newt. So it's great that he hit the Flames of the Firebrand. Of course, everything is better than nothing, but it says quite a lot about Emmanuel Justice's overall strategy when you see how it blanks these great cards.
Yeah, and Emmanuel Justice with playing that Blood Baron actually has. Okay, so played it, targeting Emmanuel. So yeah, just a very quick look at the Ben Stark match, who has Armored Cancrix that he already has to fight off, a Megantic Slither, Deadly Recluse, and a 2/2 Vastwood Hydra. There's already some good creatures in the graveyard of Rasmus Björklund, so Ben started on, already on the defensive. So Ben in trouble here. Has to do something about the board state. Lava Axe, finishing it off.
Yeah.
That's it. Rasmus Björklund takes the game and the match, moves on to the semi-final and qualifies for the Pro Tour in Dublin. But back to our match here. We saw Emmanuel Justice Dragon Egg to Blood Baron, then sacrificing the Pitchburn Devils, or no? He has a ring flash in his hand, so what he's thinking about doing here is sacrifice the Pitchburn Devils to the Blood Baron, put 3 damage on the Jace's Mindseeker, and finishing it off with the... Oh no, just finishes off the Festering Youth, so not revealing even the ring flash in his hand. And now the Blood Baron growing to a really big proportion. The Dragon Egg...
It's already a 6/6, and with 3 black mana, the Blood Baron can go up to a 12/12 without any trouble. So we're going to see 1 sacrifice here to make it an 8/8, which is enough to kill Wall of Frost. Blood Baron isn't going to untap next turn, but I don't think that Emmanuel Justi really minds.
So he just pumps the Blood Baron, sacrificing Tenacious Dead, meaning the Blood Baron will be an 8/8, and then pumps the Dragon Token from Dragon Egg 6 times, so for a total of 8 damage, bringing Pierre down to 5. So Pierre has to find an answer for the Dragon Token, but on the following turn, always has to block Blood Baron every turn unless he has a way to deal with that one as well.
And 5 life isn't that much to work with. So there is a claustrophobia still, so Pierre Salmon probably needs to use that to get rid of the Dragon Token. And he's in no position to use any of his offensive cards. So
there's a claustrophobia from Pierre. We knew he had it in his hand for a long time. Also has Enlarge in his hand, which isn't doing much in this situation. It's one of the worst places you can be. Enlarge, especially weaker in this sense.
There was a cheer erupting from the feature match area.
Cheer erupting for the feature match area. And we have Christoph Augenthaler defeating Tamás Nagy, so the Austrian beating out the back-to-back GP top 8er Tamás Nagy here. So that's Augenthaler. He will play the winner of this match. Yeah, Federico Del Basso is tied 1 apiece with Stefan Sucic. We were going to bring that right after this finish, and we already see Ben Stark losing out to Rasmus Björklund. So here comes the Cursed Spirit, and we know that the Blood Baron will untap. Yeah, Pierre Summon just playing Enlarge on his Advocate of the Beast to get rid of the Cursed Spirit and deal some damage. Oh, we might have a change on the results. Right, so scratch what I said. We got bad information for the feature match area. The loud cheer was for the hometown Federico Del Basso. Ooh, that's it. Also, another Italian also taking it home. So we have both Italians advancing to the semifinals, qualifying both for Pro Tour Theros. So that means that we have Federico Del Basso facing off against Rasmus Björklund in the semifinals on the bottom side of the bracket. On the other side of the bracket, we have Emmanuel Justi advancing to the semis, and he will face off against the winner between Tamás Nagy and Christoph Augenthaler. So sorry about the misinformation. We have 1 more game in the quarterfinals to go, and we will see Tamás Nagy of Hungary playing against neighboring Christoph Augenthaler.
That black-red, these black-red's sacrifice synergies are really, really good.
Yep, here we go. There you see in the gray shirt, there's Christoph Augenthaler of Austria playing against Tamás Nagy here on the right. With not playing GPs in 3 years, comes back. Top 8 won immediately. 5-time national team member for Hungary. Now Tamás Nagy, 1 game away from the semifinals, qualifying for Pro Tour Theros. But that's definitely something that Christoph Augenthaler is eyeing here. Christoph has a very blue-heavy deck. but actually he's blue-green, even though it's not apparent from what he has in his hand. He actually splashes a few black cards. So Tamás Nagy with a child of 9-inch corpse hauler, which are halted completely by that Seacoast Drake from Christoph.
The 1-3 Seacoast Drake really great against Child of Night and corpse hauler. Christoph Augenthaler might have a Water Servant here. That's going to be quite valuable because it allows to put on the pressure.
Yeah, here comes Water Servant, a 3/4 for 4 mana, which can pump its power by lowering its toughness, or vice versa. And Tamás, with just his 2/2/1s, is getting outclassed in the creature battle very quickly. But Christoph a bit slower in the mana development because he doesn't have a forest while having a Trollhide in his hand, but does have the Shimmering Grotto. Just not as good. The Trollhide is better when you have forest, where you can play it and regenerate the same turn. Yeah, and here comes Mark of the Vampire, played on the Corpse Hauler for Tamás Nagy, making it 4/3. He can only trade here with the Water Servant at best.
Yeah, so he's actually offering a 2-for-1 against himself, basically. Opting to keep the Corpse Hauler around, maybe for its ability later on. Christoph Augenthaler does not want to trade, even though he would get 2 cards off of Tamás here. And
we know he has a Doomblade in his hand, which can't do anything about the 2 black creatures of Tamás. Does have the Trollhide, also looks like Claustrophobia in his hand, so that's the reason for not blocking here. While he also will be able to get in for some damage with the Water Servant if he so desires.
So Claustrophobia on the 4/3 lifelinker looks to be a very good idea. Don't think he wants to expose his Water Servant to being destroyed after he put the Trollhide on it. Tamás Nagy might just have a Liturgy of Blood, for example, and then you definitely want to have the mana to regenerate. Like you said, the Doomblade in Christoph's hand isn't doing anything, but he's ahead on the board, so there's really nothing to worry about.
Yep. There's the Claustrophobia from Christoph Augenthaler, plays on the Child of Night, meaning that he can get in with both creatures if he so desires. Even though Tamás Nagy is on 24, that Corpse Hauler will swing in for 2 damage. And I'm actually a little bit surprised that Christoph didn't decide to pump his Water Servant while using the Shimmering Grotto to transfer the black mana into a black one.
He's also taking more damage than he dealt here by attacking with Seacoast Drake. He did represent or keep open Doomblade, but Tamás Nagy didn't give him a target to kill at end of turn. Another island is good because Water Servant is really great if you can give it the maximum number of the maximum power. And I think there's a Time Ebb.
Time Ebb in Christoph Augenthaler's hand, that is correct. That would have dealt with the Mark of the Vampire also very well, but by using Claustrophobia, we also got rid of the Child of Night permanently, so to speak. Christoph actually can decide to go on super offensive with Trollhide on Water Servant, making it a 5/6, and pumping it with his islands to make it a really big beater, which can end the game in 3 turns.
But he's on 14 though, so he's been racing quite aggressively with his Seacoast Drake, and probably just wants to get the Time Walk of Time Ebb going. No,
plays on a Seacoast Drake, so
yeah, he's really aggressive here.
Taps his mana differently here, so he attacks with both creatures. He thinks he can race, and the 3/4 Water Servant attacks along with the now 3/5 Seacoast Drake into just an untapped Nightwing Shade. So
so he's representing 8 damage here. It was 6, and now he pumps twice. But it does allow Tamás Nagy to untap with his own Shade and the Corpse Hauler. Now, if Tamás thinks that he can use the Shade on defense, then Time Ebb is going to be a really nice tempo play.
Oh yeah, definitely. Maybe that's the reason why Christoph went for it. No, in this way, because he can then play the Time Up on the Nightwing Shade if it stays back, or another creature, and it's especially good if when Tamás is playing Divination, not adding to his board further. So
he did draw it Croc Sickness though. If he has another Swamp, that kills.
He does have a Swamp, I think.
That kills the Water Servant, or makes the Seacoast Drake into a 0 power creature.
Yeah, so Tamás plays the Swamp here. Has to decide if he wants to play the Quack Sickness, which creature he wants to get rid of here.
he almost can't deal with the water servant any other way. So yeah, he's going on the offensive, which I kind of expected. Dealing 4 here, bringing Christoph down to 10, and killing the water servant. So now it's really the question if Christoph can keep this aggressive line up, or if he's going to have to stay back with his 3-5.
Yep, so Christoph Augenthaler draws a Liturgy of Blood. That's actually one of his splash cards in his blue-green deck. He was lacking cards to add to his board. He decided to run the Swamp and the double Shimmering Grotto to make sure he will be able to play the Liturgy of Blood, but he was super unhappy about it, especially because he has other double card mana costs in his other colors. So 3 mana, and I think that's going to be a time map on the Nightwing Shade. And Christoph can actually try to outrace this. Can also play the Liturgy of Blood on the following turn on Nightwing Shade, getting for 3 again. What does Tamás have? Just ooh, Colossal Whale.
No.
I know, yeah, that's getting Doombladed.
Christoph has been waiting for a target for Doomblade the whole time.
The whole game.
Finally found it, and he knows that there's the Shade coming up, which he wouldn't be able to Doomblade, and he's saving the Liturgy of Blood for.
Tamás down to 6. This is actually coming down as raised, but we know Christoph Augenthaler does have a Liturgy of Blood in his hand. Tamás with just double Nightwing Shade though, so if Tamás manages to survive 1 hit after the Nightwing Shade gets the Liturgy of Blooded, then he has the other one to at least hold off for a turn. But the Corpse Hauler gets in for 2 again, dropping Christoph down to 6. So if Christoph Augenthaler breaks on his draw step, which he doesn't Domestication.
That's huge, because Tamás only has a single Swarm and only 3 mana total, so he won't be able to pump his Nightwing Shade up to 4 power, and that's absolutely huge.
He can take the Nightwing Shade with Domestication. Tamás just lacking 1 mana to pump it up to 4 power, so that the Domestication would fall off at the end of the turn. While also with the Liturgy of Blood in Christoph Augenthaler's hand, he can actually next turn a Liturgy of Blood into pumping the Nightwing Shade for the kill.
Yes, and he can even pump the Nightwing Shade to 4 power or more, because Domestication only falls off at end of turn. So if it's a lethal attack, that's perfectly fine. Tamás also at 3, so pumping the Nightwing Shade up to 3 power with the Seacoast Drake at 3 power as well is probably enough.
Yeah, does Tamás not have anything to deal with this? We know he has a Nightwing Shade to block, but does he have anything else to add to that? Corpse Hauler attacks into the Nightwing Shade with 2 mana up. Yeah, Christoph Augenthaler pumps it up with the Swamp and a Shimmering Grotto. Now Tamás, was that a bluff? Was he trying to extract some value? Can he maybe pump up the Nightwing Shade?
That would be a very nice play, but I don't think that black-blue decks are really known for giving other creatures extra power. So
Tamás deciding if this is it, has to find a correct line of play here. Christoph Augenthaler was successful in finding a tempo-based game.
Yeah, the interesting thing is, if he had only had Liturgy of Blood instead of Domestication, then Tamás Nagy had the 3 mana.
There's the handshake. Christoph Augenthaler takes it home, qualifies for Pro Tour Theros in Dublin in just 2 months, and we were still also a Liturgy of Blood in his hand. Takes it home with a Troll-hided Seacoast Drake with no forest, even though he has quite a few of them in his deck. So well done for the young Austrian here. Moves on to the semis, where he will face off against a hometown favorite, Emanuele Giusti.